podcast. My name's Andy Taylor and I'm joined by Isaac Alcorn. Stuart was going to join us, but he's got Tesco mobile Wi-Fi and so he can't join us this week. So he's going to sit it out and we'll plough on to be able to give you this podcast sometime this week. So yeah, nice to be back with you. We've now back for, it's mental, isn't it? We've now done week 8. We're now in the Christmas break, although we've got 2 games this week. So I'm calling it 8.2. So we'll talk about what happened this week in week 8, although we had next to no games compared to what we should have had. But we're moving on to the Christmas break anyway. But did you catch any football this weekend, Isaac? Because I know there was plenty called off because of the storm Dara this weekend.
Yeah, I kept tuning in and out of different live streams. So the likes of both the Nottingham games, I watched bits and bats of them really. But no, there was a lot of games that just never really happened. That'll hopefully happen later in the year.
Yeah, and I got chatting to who did I get chatting to this week? Someone who was like, oh, it was the best. They got postponed. They're like, oh, it was the best time to play us because our starting quarterback wasn't played this week, but it got postponed because of the game. So they feel a bit of a light reprieve. I think it might have been someone from Warwick, but yeah, no, they were. Some people might have been counting their blessings that there wasn't one because it was obviously coming up to Christmas and all that sort of stuff this week. But either way, we've still got week 8 to look through, and we do have some games. But let's start off with Premier Tier, where we actually only have 2 games to talk about. Because if you're not on our YouTube channel watching this and you're listening in, we had postponed games across 4 of the 6 games. So Uwe Bullets Durham didn't happen, Raptors Warwick didn't happen, SGS Pride Cardiff didn't happen, and Exeter Portsmouth didn't happen. So we did have Gold versus Loughborough, and we had NTU versus Newcastle. So let's have a little talk about that Gold Loughborough game. We kind of predicted that it would be a one-sided affair. We've got enough data points now to look at that. Nottingham Gold have run away with the division so far. Obviously, there's got that juicy matchup in the final week of the regular season against Uwe. But they came away 35-0 winners over Loughborough, and it looked like it was just steady. It didn't look like it was, it wasn't out the gates quick and stop, and it didn't all happen at the end. I think if I remember correctly over the stories, it was certainly a steady sort of stream of scoring. What do you take away from that victory from Nottingham, or is there not a lot to talk about really with it?
It's like kind of a complete juxtaposition of the week before. It's the complete opposite of the CAF game, really, where they couldn't stop scoring. Whereas on Sunday we kind of saw them struggle a little bit more.
Right.
I think that could just be down to Loughborough is a better team than Leeds Beckett. I think we've got enough data points to confidently say that now. But no, I don't know. I don't know what happened with the Gold. I don't know whether it's Christmas time and they're thinking, we'll take it easy. We don't want to be banged up when we're going home. But no, it's definitely. I think it's a good one for Loughborough, who could have easily have faced like what they did against Uwe. And get blown out, but no, it's going to be a big positive for Nottingham.
Yeah, and we've seen that twice now, have we? Have we had? Yeah, so we've had that. So it's been basically a 35-point spread each week actually now. So we had 34 in the first game and 35 now. So we know what they're separated by, don't we? But that victory now seals Nottingham's place. Well, I think it did the week before actually, and we've just snoozed on it. But they've obviously confirmed themselves in the postseason if it was ever in doubt after that Uwe victory earlier in the season. But can't be caught. So they're definitely in the postseason. They'll just be looking for seeding now going in. But I think Uwe will be annoyed that didn't happen. They'll be scrambling, I'm sure, to get that rearranged as soon as possible because the weeks are slipping away, aren't they? So they'll need that if they want to come into that final game against Gold in the final week to try and overtake them. I'm looking at here, they've only got two empty weeks really, so they're either going to play 4 in a row or they're going to have 3 in a row, then a break, and then 2 in a row to finish the year if they're able to get it rearranged with Durham. So that'll be a tricky one, won't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But let's have a look at the Prem North, where there was actually some action, right? So we've got NTU versus Newcastle. Probably not a surprise. I certainly wasn't surprised by it. What do you think?
No, I'm not really. I think Newcastle are thankful that Liverpool are in the same division. Really, there's that one team who's that a little bit worse than they are. But no, I'm really not surprised. I think in the conditions as well, to score 52 points with all of the rain and the wind and everything like that's impressive in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if it were just on a nice summer day, it'd have been much higher. But no, I think Newcastle are realistically quite lucky that Liverpool are there as well.
Yeah, they're conceding at a rate of knots at the moment, aren't they? They're conceding at a greater rate than Liverpool. Actually, looking at here, they're conceding 35 a game, and Liverpool are conceding 28. It's just that obviously currently they're separated by that 8 points earlier on in the season. So, they're not out of the woods, are they? Newcastle yet? They've got Liverpool coming back up, haven't they? Week 11, 2nd of Feb. That's their final, isn't it?
Yeah, it's both teams' final, really. I think Liverpool will be up for it. I think they'll see how many points that Newcastle are conceding, and just just go for it, really. And I think that's what they need to do, really, to have any sort of chance in surviving. I think at the start of the year, there were some people who maybe said that Liverpool didn't really deserve to be in the Prem, and I think that game against that game in February will definitely show people if they deserve to be there or not.
Yeah, I'll definitely be at JMO for that. I'll put that in the calendar, and I'll make that 15-minute trip to their home field to see that, because that could be a good one, especially if it's 8-0. Who doesn't love an 8-0 victory where there wasn't was that the one where there wasn't an offensive game and it was a pick six? Is that one, or am I confusing?
That was LJMU.
Was that LJMU? Fair dues, but still a close scoring game. But then, from the NTU point of view, now they still have the division in their own hands. They still need to go to Warwick, don't they? Just checking if they do play them again. Yeah, so
Warwick comes to them.
Warwick comes to them, that's right. And they've got a 1 point deficit to overthrow that head-to-head. So that's going to be a good game, isn't it? But also an important one for NTU to try and grab hold of that division.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it's theirs realistically to throw away now. But yeah, I think anyone in the top of that Prem North now has been, each team could beat everyone really. So when we come back after Christmas, it should hopefully just be
out of that top three. Yeah, 100%.
Out of that top three, everyone could just beat everyone. So it's going to be an interesting division to look at when we come back after Christmas. Yeah.
Prem South, sorry, you got battered by the Storm and we don't get to talk about you for this week. But just looking ahead, SGS are probably not too worried about missing that game, but Exeter will want that game massively, won't they? I know we're talking about the top four go into the playoffs, don't they? In these divisions.
Yeah, so at the moment.
So really, realistically, Exeter are the only ones out of the current bottom three who will be pushing for that, and then it'll be between Birmingham and Cardiff. So they'll be desperate to keep that, won't they, and rearrange. But let's see if they're able to. It'll be a tough end of the season for them if they do. They're backloaded massively, Exeter at the moment. I'm just trying to think whether it's been rearranged already. It looks like it has actually. Week 10. Week 10 looks like Exeter versus Portsmouth. Yeah. So we've got Exeter have got Birmingham and Portsmouth and Cardiff at home. Three games on the bounce, and then they travel.
Three games that they'll see as winnable, really. It'd be hopefully a good time for the Demons. Yeah,
interesting. Very good. Well, enough to talk about there in the Prem, even though we only had 2 games. So let's have a little look at Tier 1 then. Slightly less Ps, as I said on social media at the time. We only had two games fall foul to the Storm, so pretty much in the same region. But we had Bath, Southampton called off, and then we had KCL, Essex called off. Although my understanding is that KCL are expecting to get a walkover over that for that, and I haven't heard about Bath yet. So we'll wait until that's official before we call it. I don't think we've called it yet, but let's get to that in a little while. Let's go through the top half of this tier. Then we've got obviously Edinburgh Napier coming away against winners against Stirling, and they've secured themselves a spot in their postseason. With that, nobody can. I think there's only one team that can catch them in that division, so they can only finish second. We have obviously a couple of other games going on in the Northern, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about because that's your favourite division, still is. And then we've got obviously Midlands, where we had some donuts. So Nottingham 6-0, interesting result there against Coventry. And I know you had some insight towards the end of that game, and then Sheffield Hallam walking away against Hull with a nice victory there. So what stands out to you in that top half of this tier? Top northern half, I should call it, not top. But
I'll talk. Congratulations first to Edinburgh Napier Knights of getting into the playoffs, doing it so early as well. And there's a couple of other teams who've done it, but to get the business done as early as they can, and they can kind of start to rest up players, which can only help them going on further into the postseason. UClan coming away with that important win really against Northumbria to keep them on the toes and make sure that Northumbria do need to win out now. Because we said that last week you could start penciling the name in, but obviously now it throws everything off a little bit. Manchester is quite an interesting score. Talking to an LJMU linebacker, and they just said that in the second half they kind of just blew LJMU away and there was no chance really. And it shows that Manchester actually have got a decent team with them, and maybe not performing at Northumbria has kind of hurt them a little bit this year. But now they'll be seeing UClan and Northumbria beat each other and see that as an opportunity for them, really. And then the Midlands, Hallam getting a good win against Hull. I'm not surprised, really. I'm not surprised at. And then Nottingham Green, which was a bit entertaining towards the end of the game, I think is a right way to say it, with the centre, hello Oscar.
For those who don't know, your brother.
yeah, my brother is the centre for the Greens. It were a fumbled snap at the end of the game, and it put Coventry on the Greens 15-yard line, and the defence held strong, and Notts quietly still go unbeaten.
Yeah, maybe we should be the ones shouting louder about the fact that Greens are unbeaten, but the Greens are unbeaten, aren't they, in that division? They are flying high, and we were talking about some power rankings that are out there at the moment, and they're still being, some people are starting to catch on, but maybe it's just that offense that isn't quite prolific, but that defense is absolutely sturdy, isn't it? That does not give up much. That defense, which we're starting to see now with even with the numbers, they're conceding 6 points a game out of 5 games. That'll do, won't it? So
pretty much. Getting the job done.
Well, you can come away with obviously that victory, but they don't come away with the aggregate score head-to-head over Northumbria, so they missed that out. That I think I said it in our text chat. What an important field goal that is from Northumbria, because it was 14-0, wasn't it, that we could tell? And then it ended up 14-3. That might be one of their most important field goals this season if they end up coming away with a 1 seed into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it shows how smart their coaches are, really. Because easily, when you're 14-0 down, you just think, right, we're going to go for it. 4th down, let's just go for it. I think any other coach, majority of coaches anyway, they'd think, all right, let's just go for it. Let's score a touchdown. Let's do this. And most of the time will come up and it won't happen. But no, the smart coaches up at Northumbria and knew that 3 points would help them massively. And they're still sitting top at division.
And they really can't be separated all that much. We're talking about them being separated by less than a field goal in their aggregate scores, I think, if memory serves. But looking at even just their stats, they're both scoring around about 30 points a game, and they're both conceding around about 8 points a game. They really are that tight between them, and I think that sort of battle is going to really set them up nicely going into the postseason, is it? Although I suppose beating each other will harm their seeding. Who knows what will happen with Green and Napier going forward, but they'll be a tough opponent for whoever faces them in the off season, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think this win helps UConn a lot mentally to think, we've just beaten a team that beat us 2 weeks ago, who were top of the division. We can beat them. That's going to help them to the next few games, thinking, oh yeah, we can pretty much beat anyone we want to. So no, it's a good sign for UConn, is that?
Yeah, they've got a slightly tougher. You could do they? I'm just looking at their. Yeah, they've got a slightly tougher end of the season. UConn have. They do host Manchester, albeit they've obviously handled them previously, and then Northumbria have LJMU twice to finish off the season. Which I'm sorry, LJMU, but
does not get any realistic.
Things aren't going well for you guys, are they? Yeah. So let's have a little look at the South then. We had a Friday Night Lights, Bristol taking control over Swansea. Swansea now see themselves firmly at the bottom of that division. And then we've obviously got Brunel with a difficult, to quote Brunel, mud bath against Reading, 8-0. And then Hertfordshire did that tricky travel down to Brighton, which Brunel saw the week before, didn't they? And they came out 18-14 victors over Brighton, and Kent UCL showing off their superiority against Kent, travelling to them and coming away 18-6. So, some interesting results there that have affected the way things stand within Tier 1, right?
Yeah, I think Swansea, they're pretty much down. I think if they lose to, Bath, and then it's pretty much confirmed then. But I think that their first points they've scored all season.
Not so much, but yeah, you are right. You can almost pencil it in then, can't you? Unfortunately,
which is unfortunate to say that they were in the Prem. A handful of years ago, they were a Prem side and a good one at that as well. And just going down it, Brunel again. I'd love to know whether it was conditions or what's happened to them recently. We've seen them the last 2 weeks have tough victories, and I know they just go down in a win column and it's great, but there's got to be something where they've been so dominant at the start of the year, and now they're struggling to beat a Reading side that everyone else can put ridiculous numbers on.
Well, to your point there, Isaac, is that they're scoring 30 points a game, but they've scored 19 in the last 2.
Yeah, exactly. So the average is just brought down. The average has just crashed down because of the last 2 games, really. And then Hertfordshire
changed,
and Hertfordshire keeping Brunel on the toes as well. So I'm sure if Brunel have these tough games again, Hertfordshire's there just waiting for them, and they play each other soon as well. I think they've got to play each other again. So yeah, as well,
week 10.
That southern tier is shaping up to be on both ends. It's looking to be a great division, like relegation and promotion. Because although Reading are not, they don't look good. There's other teams around them that maybe are not as good as well. But yeah, and then Kent and they're bottom. They're bottom of their division as well, I believe.
No, so we've got Essex at the bottom. They're 0-4 at the moment, and then there's some weird tiebreaker between UCL, Kent, and UEA. I think, depending on how you work out the tiebreakers, we've got that 3-way tie between UCL, Kent, and UEA, and so UCL. That they've got a forfeit, so they're probably below. They're probably bottom of out of those 3. But there's a struggle in the middle, and then we've got KCL flying away at the top and potentially getting an extra 2 points for a walkover once we get that confirmed.
Well, no, that's a big win for UCL as well, having that tricky like middle spot of that division, and then having the power to beat someone who's there as well is good for them. I think it shows that when you've got the middle portion that's fighting out for them 2 playoff spots, when you can beat teams around you, it's just going to ultimately help you in it.
Yeah, Yeah, and I was just double checking BUCS play while we're live on air. That yeah, no, we haven't got a walkover yet. But yeah, no, our understanding is that it's going to be called that way. So we'll see how we do over the next week or so as the SU sort themselves out. But no, it's interesting to see how Tier 1's playing out. And, we're trying to project ahead now and see what it would look like. And, some really interesting matchups could be playing themselves out in the postseason, where I think it's the top two, isn't it, from every division, and then a couple of the third best across there. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it's shaping out. But we'll see how that goes in the new year for sure. Let's have a little look at Tier 2 then. We still had quite a number of games. 3 fell foul to the Storm in the end. We didn't see Sunderland. We didn't see ARU. And we didn't see Gloucestershire against Aberystwyth either. So 3 falling foul there. But we did have some interesting results. So we saw Derby solidify themselves into the postseason by my maths. We've got Worcester taking control of that division with another win over Bath Spa, 22-0, and then Oxford Brookes travelled to Surrey, and that was the one that we were interested in, wasn't it, to see what happened between those winning teams. And they travelled to Surrey and came away with 14-6 victors. So, yeah, there's quite a bit going on here, and division shaping up nicely, right?
Yeah, I think that Derby victory over Lincoln is just, it's another one where I'm not surprised. If you look at that division on paper, it doesn't look like a strong division, really. You have Derby comfortably at the top, Lincoln, Cambridge, and then AIU and DMU, and that's pretty much it. I'm glad that Welsh team didn't play this week. I'd have to talk about them. But Worcester looking really good. Beating their local rivals in Gloucester a few weeks ago, then beating Bath Spa, it sets them up quite nicely for the Christmas break, which I think could have been a surprise to many people. I know that Stuart might have been surprised, especially at the Gloucester win. But no, that looks it looks really good for them, really. And then Oxford Brookes been winning that game where they're beating the team now where who'd have to beat. There's the 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. And if you're Oxford Brookes or Surrey, you had to win that game, and Oxford Brookes did, and sent another team with another loss. So yeah, and then he was the bottom one, Greenwich against Imperial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I won't lie, I don't know a lot about the South, especially in Tier 2, anyways. But is that division's a really is that the one with City Wolfpack in it as well?
Yeah. So it's this one now where we've got 4 teams with 4 points or more, and Greenwich is sitting there with 5 because they've got that tie against Imperial, who they've beat since. So yeah, it's there's 4 people there. There's 4 people who are in the running to compete for that division. We've got Kingston, we've got Queen Mary, Greenwich, and City St George's by the looks of it, and then it's against Imperial and Canterbury to see who finishes bottom. Canterbury are in minus numbers for their forfeit, so yeah, it's tricky there. But OBU, like you say, they've done what they need to do against Surrey. And what's interesting, which I didn't quite realise until I was looking at it at the weekend, was that they don't play each other again. So there's only 7 games in this tier.
We had it at the Bears
where as well.
Yeah, we have it at the Bears where you play 2 teams twice, the other 2 once. So it's like, I think of the Bears you're supposed to play
5,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's 5 games.
Yeah, I think with the Northeastern now, I think since we have left, I think they only play 5 now.
Yeah, so it's 5 games. So they've only got 2 games left, and that's against Solent, and then they've got a big one against Sussex, and they're hosting that. So it really was a big game for them, and they did what they needed to do, because that travelling to that team out of the top 3, and then they get to host Sussex, who obviously have to make that travel. And and Sussex have then got to think about the week after that game against OBU, because they're then hosting Surrey. So they really have put themselves in a good position, Oxford. Not that they haven't been doing well anyway.
No.
What are they doing at the moment? 3 games in, 39 points scored a game and 2 points conceded a game.
Yeah.
Like, there's your platform. Go and win it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I think if maybe not so much, but if you're like sorry, completely the team at the top, the Saxons. If you're is it the Saxons?
They're tied with them. So
Yeah. So
Oxford
yeah,
are at the
I
top
couldn't remember the
because
name.
conceded. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're them, you're thinking, right, if we don't beat Oxford Brooks, we have to beat Surrey, and
Yeah.
and this is the new divisions and the new tiers were built purely for this, of where you have to it's a high stake, it's more high stakes. It's not like a thing of we're just gonna there's one team who's running away with it all the time and everything's happy. No, you're gonna have to host Surrey, and you're gonna have to basically beat them well enough to get in the playoffs. So no, it's looking good for Oxford Brooks, and maybe not so much the other two.
Yeah, so it's shaping up that way, isn't it? And you did mention Worcester, and Worcester have just basically played more games than everybody else. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how it plays out, because Aberystwyth can't get on the field, Gloucestershire can't get on the field. We'll talk about that in a second, and UE 2 haven't got on the field yet either. So at the moment, it's just a war of attrition and who can step on a field and play a game.
It's exactly the same for York. We don't know what York are yet. Yes, they got beaten by Sheffield. However, Sheffield is beating everybody, so there's nothing much really to measure up against them there. Whereas against Sunderland, which is a playoff rival, then the game gets postponed. So no, it's going to be an interesting one, especially for all of Tier 2. I think now coming in after Christmas.
Yeah. So we've now got 3 teams confirmed into the postseason. Obviously, we'll have more of an idea of more there's some people who are teetering just based on the maths. We never declare anyone into the postseason until it's absolutely sure. Again, relegations are kind of nearly confirmed as well for a number of teams. But yeah, we do know that Derby and Edinburgh Napier and Gold will be in the postseason for sure. So congratulations to them to get that boxed off before Christmas. That's an awesome achievement, isn't it? So we should be saying see you later. No games this week. Catch you over after Christmas. But actually, people are taking the opportunity of trying to fit a game in before everybody does truly disappear for Christmas. And it remains to be seen whether they actually get a team on the field for the 19th of December, just before Christmas. But we have had one victim due to, we're being told, player availability. So UE Bullets do have a walkover win over Gloucester this weekend on a rearranged game, and that's what we've been told to call it. So that's unfortunate, which gives obviously UE Bullets the 2 and Gloucester -2 in that, which will make life difficult for the Gladiators going forward. But we do have 2 games to talk about, albeit we've got the Hertfordshire Hurricanes, who we've just been talking about, who are hosting the Reading Knights, and we've got that UE Kent rematch that was supposed to happen a few weeks ago, and that's now happening this weekend. Kent versus UE. Anything to say about these two fixtures for this weekend? I know you're not doing an article this week for two fixtures. That's okay. What do you think stands out here?
I think the Hertfordshire game really stands out. I think it's a you see it now in all these games for teams like Hertfordshire are must win.
Yeah, because they've got that one loss. Yeah,
exactly. And if they want to try and get a better seeding or even just make the playoffs, you're gonna have to win out the rest of the year. It's really that simple. And against the Reading side, which they can easily score, we've seen Hertfordshire score points already this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't score a load of points on Reading. But now I've said that, it'll be like a 3-0 victory, and it'll be the worst game of football you've ever
Brunel
watched.
only scored 8 on them.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, if Hertfordshire can score loads on them, it shows what kind of a team that Hertfordshire are. And then the Kent UEA game, Kent, it's that murky area in that division where
Correct.
both sides need to win to have any sort of like advantage over the other team. So no, I know there's only 2 games, but it should hopefully be an entertaining week anyways, and a week that could mean a lot for the playoffs and postseason.
Yeah, can Reading cause an upset? There's not a lot to suggest that they will. They don't know how to score, basically. But I think, to your point, Hertfordshire need to go into that Brunel game with all the wins that they can get. But what obviously goes underappreciated in all this is don't concede anything. Do yourself a favour and and shore up on defence. It doesn't matter whether you come away 2-0 win, just make sure it's nil. Do you know what I mean? And I think that gets underappreciated sometimes, because if they're able to come away with very little scored against them this week, then it does help their average points conceded. That we're thinking well ahead of ourselves, but if they do secure themselves playoff football this year, they're doing all right for themselves. Can't see why not, but this will be important for them to get right. And then we've got that head-to-head. So I know Stuart said in the build-up to the first game of this division, which was UEA versus Kent, they always share. He talks about how they share the results, don't they? They travel to each other's and beat each other. So it was 14-8 to Kent last time. So if UE want the head-to-head, they'll have to win by 6 or more, and break that tiebreaker. But it'll still be a difficult travel as always to do that, especially the week before Christmas. Hopefully they've got a strong enough team, rested up nicely from last week. Kent, UEA didn't play, so interesting nonetheless, because they're, like you say, there's that 3 teams on 4. They need to separate themselves somehow, so with UCL having the head-to-head over Kent, they'll need to be, and UEA have the head-to-head over UCL because they conceded. UCL did. It's really interesting to see how that will play out, and this will be an important one as well. So I'm sure it will have, albeit only 2, there will be some implications, I'm sure, for, going forward. But we'll make sure that we wrap that up nicely in a neat bow before Christmas, and we'll be interested to see how that goes. But so that's it now. We're into Christmas break. I've taken the wrong person off stage, and I've not taken the graphic off. Sorry about that, Isaac. It'll be good to come back together and wrap up where we can what we've got. We've obviously got a lot of announcements happening over the next couple of weeks as well. We want to be here to talk about the youth alignments that we dropped today, announced over the weekend, where I'm not holding my breath, but sooner or later the adult contact alignments will come out. So I won't be holding breath, but that will obviously have implications for you, Isaac, with Wakefield and others alike, and really interesting to see what sort of amendments are applied to the league, and then we can start building up for the 2025 season, can't we? We've seen YFFL, so the youth football registration be open, and NFFL registration's open. Looking forward to hearing what's happening there. So what we'll probably do is, guys, we'll probably come back over the Christmas period at some point to kind of take stock of where we're at. We're doing a lot of work around, what if the season ended today? So we can talk about that as well, and hopefully have a couple of few guests on over the winter as well to kind of give you the content that you so desire around BUCS and British American football. So Isaac, once again, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for anyone who's watching and listening, and we'll catch you probably next week, maybe not, maybe the week after, but if we don't catch you beforehand, have a very good Christmas and a happy New Year, and take care of yourselves.